Hi everyone, my name is Tim Stevens and I'm excited to welcome you to my show at the FCCA Gallery in Fredericksburg, Virginia. It's called Allegory, Illusion, and Ambiguity, and I'm hoping you'll enjoy this video that covers a little bit of the work that I've done recently, and I hope you'll be able to find some time to actually come in and see it in person. There's a lot here. So I'd like to start off by saying that I see myself as a fine art photographer combined with the digital artist. I put both of those two things together in the images that I make. They're neither photographs nor paintings. They're somewhere in between. I really enjoy crafting these visual stories. I like to sort of push around and probe the complexities of being human in a too often inhumane world. I like to use allegory, illusion, and ambiguity because they're not literal. So they let the viewer and the viewer's perspective change as time goes on. We're all constantly changing. The things we see in the news, the experience we have, the insights we gain, etc., etc. And so as we evolve, I want your relationship to the images I make to evolve as well. I think that if you tell me the story you see in an image today, and then I ask you to tell me again in a couple of years, I'll get a slightly different story, or maybe a very different story. And that's important to me, that everything sort of works together as time goes forward to keep things fresh and meaningful. So I'd like to share with you now a few images from several different series that I'm currently working on. My series tend to be open-ended. When I see a new story or feel compelled to tell a story, I don't hesitate to add to an existing series. So most of these are open-ended. But anyway, the first series that I'd like to show you a couple of images from is a series I call The Rescue. And The Rescue allegorically examines the concepts of grace and salvation as antidotes to weakness, anxiety, and hopelessness. So I'm hoping that my images reveal a decisive moment in the story when something is disruptive to an entrenched pattern of negativity and brings a new perspective for the character in the story. And that new perspective is always going to be one of hope. I think that hope is what ultimately fosters renewed strength, personal fortitude, and empowerment. Hope is what keeps us going. Hope is, the grace that saves us from ourselves. In this first image, I call this one Solace, and there's a decisive moment in this image that not everybody picks up on. It's quick and easy to see the despondent woman, incapable of even keeping herself, dry and safe from the elements, even armed with an umbrella. It's just not enough, and she's overwhelmed, clearly. And a lot of times, that's all people see. They get focused on that, but it's that small, still voice that I'm hoping that people will at some point notice, and I'll show it to you now if you haven't already seen it. And that is the field mouse. The mouse that lives in the rain all the time. The mouse that doesn't have an umbrella and still survives. The mouse that knows that even when it rains, the sun will come back out again at some point, sooner or later. This small mouse is crucial. When the woman notices the mouse, and she will, I think that's going to turn her in a new direction towards the light and away from the darkness and the shadows and the fear of the weather and all of the things that that situation is allegorical to. In this next image, I call this one Transcendence, and it's similar in certain ways, which is to say, you see someone who, in this case, is hopeful, somebody reaching, somebody who is, yearning for something more, for the white dove. And that's simple enough on its own terms. But again, there's, in this case, a third character in the story that not everybody picks up on right away. And that character is the bluebird. She has the bluebird. The bluebird is with her. The bluebird is on her shoulder, literally. And the bluebird is not enough, The bluebird is material. The bluebird represents, all the things that we have, the first world problems and, the first world toys and everything else that comes with it. But that's not often enough. That's almost always not enough. And, so here we see somebody who is turning away from the material things and reaching for the spiritual things. Another series that I'm working on is called The Dawning. And once again, it's looking at decisive moments when we recognize our own mortality. And I try to convey that in a number of ways. Either through illusion or allegory. And in this particular image, again, we have a second character, diminutive to the primary character, who is obviously introspective. And that second character, once again, is a field mouse. And obviously, this is a field mouse that is cared for. Is it sleeping? Maybe. Probably not. But what it does reflect is somebody's hopes that they are cared for and missed when they're no longer with us, just like this mouse is. So there's a certain amount of projection going on here. But I think, at some point, everybody comes to this stage where they start to realize that they won't be here forever. And they have to reevaluate their priorities and reevaluate their dreams and, keep the ones that are critical to their happiness and discard the ones that are unrealistic or, material or what have you. So, yeah, again, we're talking about decisive moments here. We're talking about sudden flashes of insight, into who we are, what we are, and why we are. Okay, this last image is from my most recent series. It's the first piece that I've completed in it, although I do have several more in the works. And this is called Autonomia Corporalis, which is Latin. And it is, certainly the pose is inspired by the famous painting by John Everett Millais, one of the founding members of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. And those painters have been immensely influential in the style of my work, if not exactly the subject matter. Although in this case, this is definitely a tribute piece with a certain 21st century attitude built into it. So, this at first glance, if you're familiar with the Millais painting, this appears to represent Joan of Arc and her calling And in fact, this new series, I'm at least its working title is The Calling, the Rescue, the Dawning, the Calling. All of this is somehow coming together into some bigger thing, I'm pretty sure, but I'm still sorting that out. Anyway, at first blush, it's sort of a religious iconography type of picture. We have a saint, we have a halo, we have the cross, and so forth. But once again, I'm looking for a deeper story than that. I'm looking for a contemporary story. I'm looking for something that is meaningful to me and meaningful to a lot of people in various different ways. And when we dig deeper into the image, what you find is that there's a lot more to the halo than first meets the eye. Again, the title of the image is Autonomia Corporalis, and indeed, the halo itself is made up of words that evoke a certain attitude about bodily autonomy and sacred rights and sacred liberties and holy wars, basically. And I know some people will pick up on this right away and some may not, but I'll point it out here because it is important to me that not only is the cross, a sign of Christian faith, it's also a sign of woman, the circle with the plus. So what I'm trying to do here is honor the sacred, the sacred rights that all human beings have to, be true to themselves and to act as individuals under the guidance of their own spiritual beliefs. Okay, so I just want to leave you with a few final thoughts on all of this. I picked, several images here to sort of explain, my ideas of allegory and illusion and ambiguity, and how I incorporate that into my art. I called out, these particular pieces with some of the more, I guess what I would say would be obvious allusions and more obvious allegorical thinking in them. Many of my images have much greater depth, and I hide a lot of symbolism, and I put a lot of metaphysical thinking and so forth into them, and it would be probably a bit much to try to reveal that in the course of a presentation. So I stuck with some of these more direct images, if you will. But at the same time, I'm sharing with you my interpretation of the art that I made, knowing full well that other people are going to see other stories in these very same images. And that's what I want. I want you to engage with my art in a way that's meaningful to you. I want you to think about what you're seeing and to think about how you're feeling about it and to think about what it means to you and how it might impact, your future self. And I want that to happen over and over and over again, over time, as you engage with my images. If you see them more than once, or if you happen to be so kind as to take one home because it spoke to you, nothing would make me happier than to hear from you, how you're relating to it, and what it means to you today and what it means to you tomorrow and what it means to you 20 years from now. So anyway, thank you so much for listening to all of this. And I hope that you get a chance to see the rest of my show. I hope you get a chance to see the rest of my show in person. And again, thank you so much for your time.